Thank you for browsing page 121. Going to jump into the Dungeon Master's Guide again. And we're going to look at a magic item that I have only ever used for NPCs. I've never given one out. And this is the Staff of the Serpent. There are two varieties of this staff, the Python and the Adder. The Python strikes a +2 magic weapon and does 3 to 8 points of damage when it hits. If the cleric throws the staff to the ground, it 6 foot lengthens and thickens. Becomes a constrictor snake, 25 foot long. Armor class 3, 49 hit points, 9-inch movement. This happens in one round. The snake will entwine if it scores a hit, the opponent being constricted for 4 to 10 points of damage per round, and the victim will be so engaged until it or the python is destroyed. Note that the python will return to its owner upon command. If it is destroyed while in snake form, the staff is destroyed. And then you have number 2, the Adder. It strikes a +1 magic weapon and does 2 to 4 hit points of damage. When it hits, upon command, the head of the staff becomes that of an actual serpent. Armor class 5, 20 hit points. This head remains for one full turn. When a hit is scored, damage is not increased, but the victim must save versus poison or be slain. Only evil clerics will employ an adder staff. If the snake head is killed, the staff is destroyed. Neither staff has nor requires charges. 60% of these staves are pythons. So, first off, I think somebody was watching the Ten Commandments when they wrote up this particular magic item. It's worth 7,000 experience points, which is just a ton. Let me double check my number on that. Staff of the Serpent, 7,000 experience points for this guy. It's a rod with no charges, which is interesting by itself, and 2 uses. An evil cleric can use both. So a good cleric could actually use the python and use it as a +2 weapon, or could wield the python rather. And then the adder, the other type of staff, can only be wielded by evil clerics. I've never really given one of these out, but I did give an evil drow cleric the adder staff. The players were 6th level, thereabouts, and they had encountered some drow in a dungeon, and one of the drow was wielding this particular staff. I did get a player character with that. I actually did kill him. This is back in the 80s when we very often killed player characters. This was actually in my home game too. So it was new character time for him, and he took it with a chuckle. It was just part of doing business, but it was interesting that I actually got a strike with the +1 staff and actually had a character fail his saving throw and drop. So, and of course, I still had all the other evil goodness that evil drow clerics bring to the table. So it ended up being a really good fight, and the drow cleric had some drow minions, and it was a pretty good fight for the party. Very tough. I knocked down a couple of characters. They were able to be saved, but the one guy who failed his saving throw didn't make it. And that's what happens sometimes. That's fun of the old D&D, is occasionally characters just get killed. But as far as this magic item goes, I like that it's actually 2 varieties, so it's not combined, it's one or the other. And it's either a +2 weapon for 3 to 8, or it's a +1 weapon for 2 to 4. Interesting, kind of weak, especially by modern standards. Even a slightly higher level game, this staff would be nothing. But again, I think somebody was watching the Ten Commandments on TV when this came out. I remember the Ten Commandments was a big deal when they first were showing that in the 70s on broadcast TV. I think they used to do it as 2 nights. And, of course, the famous scene where Moses, and it's from the Bible, but I'm sure the guys weren't reading the Bible when they wrote this. You cast the staff down, and the staff turns into a serpent. And I'm sure that's where this comes from. There's several others in AD&D that definitely came from that film. I'm looking at you, Part Water. But it's just an interesting staff. It gives you a magic to hit and damage. I would actually like if somebody ran a lower level cleric in my game. I would be happy to give them the python. I think that's a pretty interesting staff, and I wouldn't mind seeing them turn it into a python and have it wrap up an opponent. Also, if they are using the python version and the python wraps a victim, I don't make the cleric stay with it. The cleric can go do other things while the victim is being attacked by the python. It's just a ruling at my table. It doesn't say either way, so I took it that they can go ahead and they can move on to other stuff. So if ever I give one of these out, the player will be happy with that ruling. But that's really all I've got. It's just a short look at a magic item that really didn't see light of day much at my table. Let me know what you think. Have you used this before? DMing is for the evil clerics, or just had a cleric wandering around with the Python. How did it go? Was it a good item? Did it kind of drop out of your campaign? Let me know. Also, please take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. Help keep the channel going. Like and subscribe if you would. And leave any comments, suggestions for future videos are always welcome. But that's all I've got today on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.